The Tight Five.
The Tight Five separate sporting topics all about Ireland versus the All Blacks. The quarterfinal coming up Sunday morning NZT. Roughly a minute or so on each of these. When the bell goes ding, we move quickly on to the next one. We're talking about this being a legacy game, what it means, especially if the worst result happens for the All Blacks. Wayne Barnes is the referee. He killed our quarterfinal hopes in 2007, but he's now widely regarded as one of the very best in the world. What kind of difference is he going to make? Fozzie's selection. What do you expect? What do we expect? I don't think that it's expect the unexpected. I think that what we're going to get is exactly what we all expect. Yes, as I've said, this is live in Paris, people. Those sirens never stop. Joe Schmidt. Now, this guy is perhaps the best weapon that the All Blacks have ahead of this quarterfinal. He was the coach of Ireland. He got them to where they are now. He laid the foundation stones. What does he not know about them? And the final, of course, last topic is going to be Call It Right Now. And this may change as we approach Stade de France on Saturday night, New Zealand, Paris time, Sunday morning, New Zealand time. Kicking it off though, legacy game. And we spoke about this at the press conference too, Lachlan. Simply that, look, what does it mean to this All Black side? Does it mean enough to this particular bunch of players?
I don't know. I think you and I are in a similar boat where we don't think that, and this sounds like an old man complaining about the younger generations, which is odd because I'm only 25, but I've never thought that the bulk of the current team who weren't there in 2015 and maybe were coming through ahead of 2019 or have debuted since the end of that World Cup just don't seem to appreciate the meaning of this jersey more. It's the way the team has carried themselves after these losses to Ireland and Argentina, the huge losses to South Africa, and it's the way that the team as a whole has closed himself off over the last couple of years. It feels like more so than in the past.
Is that a perception thing? Because perception is reality in terms of this kind of stuff.
Well, I've only really got people like yourself who have been following the All Blacks from a media point of view since the 90s, and you've been part of that, you know, the part of the media who've been interviewing them and whatnot over the years. I think for the likes of Sam Whitelock, Brady Retallick, Aaron Smith, Dane Coles, I think it means a lot to them because they know what it's like to win, and these last couple of years they know what it's like to lose. In saying that, and this is me just guessing, I could be totally wrong, I also think a lot of those guys won't place the same importance on this because they've been there and done it before, because this is their swan song. They're enjoying the occasion. If they can't win, well, don't worry, we've won a couple before, it's all good. I'm taking a while to get to the point here, but I think it does mean something. But I mean, we were at the press conference today, and just the way they answered some of their questions, the way they carried themselves, you asked a brilliant question where I just thought the body language and the answer to that question around, do they fear losing? I didn't get an indication that they do.
I suppose part of the reason for us asking that question is simply that when your favourite sports team loses, as a fan, you live in agony. Yeah. And look, I know that just sounds so exaggerative, but it's true. I mean, sulky Sundays when my goddamn football team loses, miserable Mondays when my Redskins lose, you really feel it, and it attacks you emotionally. We saw this during the Up the Wars and the whole Warriors season, what it does to people. You win a game, you're euphoric, you're on a high, you skip, you say hello to people in the street, all that kind of stuff. When your team loses and they lose a major match, it really affects you. I know that we shouldn't be living our lives vicariously through sports bloody teams, but it's just what being a fan is. I'm not so sure, and I want to be proved wrong on this, but I'm not so sure it eats away at those guys like it eats away at me, like it eats away at my generation, like it goddamn should. And look, and I know life changes and times change, and but when you're getting paid, and I look at the Man United players, and when you're getting paid £300,000 or £400,000 a week, like some of those United guys, they lose. That doesn't look to me as though it actually hurts them. You know what? They go back, they get another stupid haircut, they post photos on their Instagram, they get seen in London nightclubs, and I'm thinking, really? You guys are lost. People are going to work absolutely spewing about this, but you guys it just doesn't seem to affect you. And I wonder whether some of these All Blacks, look, they're getting paid huge money. They've got contracts in Japan, they've got sabbaticals coming up. Does winning a World Cup for your country mean as much to them as it did to those guys in 2011? Because in 2011, those guys, the All Black team, that was when Gilbert Anoka came on board, right? He came on board because they were under the weight of 24 years of misery and failure at that stage. They were losers and chokers at every World Cup. That was the perception. And it meant so much to those guys. They had to embrace that. I mean, this is what I wanted from this press conference. I want to know whether these players are embracing the same kind of hurt and the same kind of feelings, and knowing that, hey, you will let your country down if you lose. Yeah. That's what it means to us. That might not be fair, but that's, you can't accept the rewards and the pretty girls and the money and the flash cars and the new Rolex, which they got after losing a series to Ireland. You can't accept all of that without also accepting the consequence of a loss and the magnitude of a loss in a game like this.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think part of it, what makes losing maybe for them easier, we sort of jokingly say it, when our football teams lose, as you say, Mondays, when your team loses on a Monday, it sets the tone for the week. It's the same with the NFL, at least for me. When you do that, you might sit there, and I did this after the Broncos lost the grand final, laid there in bed, and I said, oh, well, the sun will come up tomorrow.
And then bloody doesn't like what I said.
It doesn't. And
apologise to me, he said.
And you go to work, and look, we're very lucky with the job we get to do, but then you get up and you go to work, you're there for 8, 9, 10 hours, you're sitting there going, oh, this would be so much easier if my team won, These guys, when they lose their games, yes, it's their job, but when they get the luxuries, they get the money, they get the cars, they get the Instagram, endorsements and whatnot. They get so many, not to sound rude, but they get a lot of corners in society cut for them. And I guess just when they lose, if not to say if that behaviour gets allowed, but it's like if we as a fan base, who your fans make the clubs, fans make the teams.
It's only about the fans. It's all about the fans.
And if the fans kind of just go, whatever, I guess it makes life a bit easier for the players. I'm not saying we need to rip into Rieko Ioane or Sam Whitelock or Sam Kane or Richie Mo'unga, all these guys. We need to rip into them and make their lives hell. But I guess if they're not hearing it from the fans, they don't understand how much it actually hurts the fans. And I genuinely think, and I've got nothing to base this off, but just purely the feeling of myself, my friends, people I work with and whatnot, family, that if the All Blacks lose this World Cup, a lot of people are going to, or they don't get, they don't win it, or they even get knocked out in the quarterfinals. People are going, okay, well, we've been awful for the last few years, whatever. Oh, Razor will fix everything. I think that's the mindset, because it's been 4 pretty ordinary years under Ian Foster. No disrespect to him, but and with these players, on the ship, it's just been a pretty ordinary 4 years. It's like, well, this will be the cherry on top of what's been very ordinary, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals.
Wayne Burns. Now, I remember. That was my first reaction after that quarterfinal in 2007. And for years on Radio Sport and subsequent radio programs, I couldn't even say his name without saying, Wayne Burns!
You've said it about 4 times today as
well.
Now,
he's the referee for this game. Is he the best guy to control this game? I tell you, I would love Ben O'Keefe to be controlling this game, but he's not allowed to referee. All we want from the referee is what? We want flow.
Yep.
We want the game to be allowed to be played. Now, I was watching the Portugal versus Fiji the other day, and I was also watching Scotland versus Ireland. And in both of those games, I think it was Bonkers was in the TMO box, right? And they must have left his mic on. You could hear him the whole game talking to the referee.
The Irish-Scotland game.
That was that one. Non-bloody stop. And my word is stop. Shut up, mate. You've got nothing to say unless the referee comes to you. The thing I fear about this game, other than Ireland winning, is the referee being completely and utterly manipulated by the guy in the TMO box, and the TMO box effectively reffing the game. Let Wayne Barnes do his goddamn job.
Yeah, I think he's widely regarded as probably one of the best referees in the world. I agree. I love the job that Ben O'Keefe did against in the South Africa game, and I thought he was absolutely sensational. But you can't have him reffing this game. The thing I want out of a ref is decisiveness as well in your decisions. You need to have total control of the game. Let it flow. Don't get too pedantic with your whistle, and then just be decisive, which is what Ben O'Keefe was. In terms of the TMO, it's like VAR in football. The referee should be in total control of the game, and VAR, or in this case the TMO, should only be called on if requested by the ref. And there should be a button. The ref should have like a button on his little
he
device.
Presses to talk to
talk to the guy, and he presses to unmute the guy.
That's it.
That's when I want to hear from you. He goes, okay, I'm not sure about this. Hey, TMO, blah, 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 show me this angle, whatever. That's when it should happen. And rugby's gotten into a terrible space, like all sports. It's not just rugby, it's football. I think it happens a fair bit in the NBA and in the NRL as well. Actually, the NRL is the opposite. The bunker probably doesn't actually get to intervene in as much as it should. But that the referees no longer have control. You've got 3 or 4 other blokes involved who have more control. and it just ruins a game when you can't have it cleanly officiated. So hopefully Wayne Barnes is forthright and decisive in the way he operates this game.
Ian Foster's selections. Now, talking to all the media Rat Pack today at the press conference, going around just asking people, what they actually thought and who they thought would be selected. And the uniform answer came back that there aren't going to be any surprises. Even Mills Moliena said this to me, that maybe on the bench we're going to see a surprise. But I think all of us can handpick this All Black side. Beauden Barrett's going to start at 15, okay?
Yep.
Will Jordan's going to be on one wing. We know the midfield pairing. Obviously, Mwanga and Smith, there's no question about that. Talia will be on the other wing. As far as the forward pack goes, it's going to be Sam Cane, it's going to be Frizzell, it's going to be Artie, we know that. Scott Barrett will start alongside Brodie Retallick.
I think, yeah.
We're hoping that Lomax is going to be fit. Jason Ryan did indicate today that he's available for selection. Now, he may be fudging that. We don't know. We're not going to find out till the team is named on Thursday. I think the only points of interest in terms of the selection are going to be the bench. And the three on the bench in terms of backs, he's going to go with Anton Leonard-Brown because he's the pet rabbit and he always picks him. I mean, I would be picking Lester Whainganuku, but that's just me. Damo is going to get, this is Damien McKenzie, is going to be there to cover either first five or fullback, depending on what's going to happen. And you're also going to have
Cam Roigard with the halfback.
Roigard will be the halfback. So those three, to me, perhaps the contestable positions. Everyone else picks themselves.
Yeah, it'll absolutely be the bench. And Justin Marshall said it yesterday. It was quite interesting how he said it. He said that there's got to be no surprises. Ian Foster has his team, and he started it off by saying, and we'll see Beauden Barrett at fullback, which suggested to me that
he doesn't want him there.
He doesn't want him there. And I think a lot of people would love to see Will Jordan at fullback because he at least during Super Rugby, he's consistently for the last 3 or 4 years
silly to
the
think
best fullback.
That here we are at a World Cup quarterfinal with so much riding on this, and we haven't seen him play fullback all year for the All Blacks.
It's strange.
Just think about that. Think about that for a second.
It ties into, I think, the biggest problem with Ian Foster. I'm not. This isn't groundbreaking. I think a lot of people think this as well. He is so conservative in his selections, and I think he's hamstrung by what he thinks works with guys. And I think Nepo Lalala and Offitonga Fasi fit into this. I think Beauden Barrett at fullback fits into this. I think, Anton Leonard-Brown being on the bench fits into this. These guys that played really well in those 4 years between 2015 and 2019 when Shag was the coach and Fozzie was the assistant. They played well, and Ian Foster has faith that these guys can still play well in those positions and doesn't want to bring someone new in. In saying that, he went with Geordie Barrett at second five last year. That was out of necessity. He didn't really have a choice. And we've seen someone like Cam Roigard have a great year, and Shannon Frizzell's ended up being one of our best loose forwards this year. In terms of the selections, the only surprises will come, if anything, on the bench. He will absolutely, Ian Foster, I think, pick Nepo Lalala and probably Fletcher Newell. They are both tight heads, so I guess he'll go Offitonga Fasi along with Nepo Lalala. He always picks Nepo. The hooker will probably be Dane Coles with Cody Taylor starting.
Which again, Samasoni, you're sitting there thinking,
who was a revelation last year. He was one of our best players last year.
Yeah.
Can't even get in the 23 this year. Again, doesn't make sense.
You've had a whole year to get this guy up to speed, who is a genuine threat, ball in hand.
Yep. And you have Dalton Papali'i will be on the bench. Sam Whitelock will be on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Whitelock starts ahead of Brodie, only because Brodie's had a couple of injuries this year, and I think on form, I don't think he's been spectacular, and I think they've been pretty even, and I just wonder if there is a leaning towards the experience, the leadership, the fact this is his 4th World Cup. I wonder if Fozzie will go with Sam Whitelock ahead of Brodie Retallick. The sad thing is we will see Anton Leonard-Brown coming off the bench, who isn't as versatile, isn't as much of a game breaker. I don't think is anywhere near as much a threat as Lester Whainganuku, and I don't know. You want impact when you have a bench, right?
Well, that's the whole point.
You want impact.
That's why it's called a bomb squad from South Africa.
Exactly.
Mate.
What impact does Anton Leonard-Brown give you?
And a little postscript on this. I don't know whether it means anything at all, but watching the last 5 minutes of training today, the two guys that were running by themselves, away from the playing group at the end of training, were Dalton Papali'i and Sam Whitelock.
I saw that.
Okay?
I saw that.
And that says to me that they're not part of that 15 that starts. That's what I read into that. Topic number 4, Joe Schmidt. Now, all of us on this side of the microphone have been desperate to get hold of this guy. We have had put requests in all year. Since he actually joined the All Blacks last year, we've all put requests in. We all want to talk to this guy, and especially now ahead of this game. Because if anybody knows anything about Ireland, it's got to be him. He's out of bounds. He's the invisible man. He won't talk. He won't ever be put up to talk. I don't know what the hell that is about. And I mean... what is he afraid of saying? He's either completely shy, doesn't want to talk, or he's got something that he doesn't want to be dragged out of him, in which case surely as an adult he can just say no comment if a question is asked. I don't get it.
It's a strange one, and it's funny because we were in at the end of the media session, we were in a van taking us back to the main entrance of Incept, and we were with some Irish journos who were saying the same thing. They couldn't believe Joe Schmidt wasn't being put up, and then we said he hasn't been put up since he got the job. I haven't seen any media of him done at all. And they just sat there, and one guy was pretty blunt. He said, I think it's completely disrespectful to the media and to the fans and whatnot. And I thought, it's actually a good point. It's really strange. I don't know what it is. Is he fearful of being asked a certain thing, as you say?
Knows?
I don't know. Is he not good with media? But he did media as Irish head coach.
As the Irish coach, so and he was obliged to do that.
Yeah.
And, and these guys were saying, and I think quite rightly so, we've flown a hell of a long way here. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Irish fans here as well that want to hear.
A lot of money spent as well.
A lot of money spent, want to hear from him.
Long flights to get here.
Well, if he is the secret weapon...
Oh.
Yeah, he's got.
Now's the time. You've had about a year and a half.
Tell you what, take the Batman mask off and reveal yourself, Joe Schmidt. Call it then, and we're probably going. Well, I'm going to ask this question over the next few days, and we're probably going to have differing views on it, and we're probably going to change our own differing views. Right now, if you ask me who's winning this game, I'd say Ireland are winning this game, and that is on the basis of what I saw against both South Africa and Scotland, where the two versions of Ireland were superb. Physical, muscly, ruthless, dominant against a Springbok side that smashed us. That out-physicaled us, right? And then against Scotland, they showed the power and the pace and the precision that they have. They're not just a team that actually plays one style of rugby like the South Africans can be accused of. They're not a team, of course, that goes willy-nilly like maybe us and the French do when perhaps it's not appropriate in the game to do. This is a team that knows how to win and knows how to win against different opponents. Right now, I think they deserve their favouritism. That doesn't mean that the All Blacks can't win this game, because I think we are capable still of pulling out a huge performance. But isn't it, you sit here and you think, am I really an All Black fan saying that we're hoping for the magic rabbit out of the hat performance from an All Black side? Aren't we meant to be better than that going into a World Cup?
Well, you'd think. I haven't been a fan anywhere near as long as you. My earliest memories of watching the All Blacks were probably 2004 or 5. I've never ever been, pessimistic's not the right word, but I've never been this certain of us being the underdogs in a match. The last time was 2009 when we just kept on losing to the Springboks, and I just thought, okay, we're just far and away not the best team in the world at the moment. I am like you, where my heart obviously says All Blacks. I'm a Kiwi, I'm an All Blacks fan, I love the team. They're the team I've been the most passionate about for the longest in my life. And saying that, there's nothing to suggest, from what we've seen at the World Cup and in the lead up over the last year or two, there's nothing to suggest that we are better than Ireland, and we will go into this game better prepared and we'll be able to beat them. It's the physical side of the game that we have been out-muscled in so many times over the last couple of years. There's been too many times. I mean, it's only been about 2 or 3, but it's far too many times where we have looked like boys playing men. And South Africa done that to us a couple of times, and Ireland did that to us, I think, at that third test in Wellington last year. I would say Ireland as well. Like you, I absolutely believe this All Blacks team has a big performance in them. We've seen bits of it against South Africa at Mount Smart. There was a couple of matches last year where we looked half decent. We've got it in us, and in that game, the opening game of the World Cup against France, the first half, I think we were down by 1 point, but we were the better team as far as I was concerned.
We botched a couple of absolute sitter try scoring opportunities.
And we missed some kicks a goal. Mwanga didn't have his kicking boots on. That probably hurt us a little bit. France were better in the second half, but we were much better in that first half. And we do have a good performance in us. We absolutely have to have a good performance in us because we've got the skilled players there. It's just whether or not we've got the full pack to muscle up and match Ireland, set piece time at the breakdown. And it's funny, Harry Jones said it, where we like to go to the second or third receiver and Aaron Smith zip that ball out. Just stick with the trenches. Go inside one ball quickly off out of the breakdown, give it to that first receiver there and just hit the line hard. Try and run over their forwards and take them out of the recycling of the ball at the ruck and then get some more go for it. But look, I mean, I obviously I want us to win, absolutely, but I just can't see it. And for me, Ireland are the favourites, should be the favourites, and they'll win this game, I think.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.